more police patrols and activities for young people. That's the promise from the government as the Home Secretary launches a summer blitz on antisocial behaviour in town centres.
Well, it comes a year to the day since we all went to the polls in the election and Labour swept to power with a landslide majority. And I'm pleased to say Home Secretary Yvette Cooper joins us now. We're a year and a few days away, aren't we, from when you got the job? And what a year it's been. We will get on to what you want to talk about as well. Because, you know, Labour's so down in the polls. 3 U-turns and a huge perception of disappointment with what's been delivered so far, let alone the scenes we've seen this week on the welfare bill. How disappointed are you by how this Labour government is doing 1 year on?
Morning, Kate. Morning, Rob.
Good morning.
Well, look, Keir Starmer stood on the steps of Downing Street, I think a year ago tomorrow, and said, change won't happen at the flick of a switch. It will take a while, and change will start. And it has started. So if you look at the things I think that matter really most, certainly to families in my area and I think across the country, the state of the NHS, which felt like it was collapsing around us, the fact that you didn't see police on the streets, and the cost of living standards. In those 3 big areas, we've now got an NHS 10-year plan, and we've seen 4 million additional NHS appointments this year. We've got 3,000 more neighbourhood police coming onto our streets this year. And then we've got wages going up, interest rates coming down, more business investment and more trade deals to support the economy, and free school meals being rolled out to 500,000 more children. That helps families with the cost of living. So of course you're right. Of course you're right that there have been all sorts of, you know, there are always bumpy times in government. I am not going to pretend everything has gone right. But
how happy you are with all
overall
it.
impact.
The question was how proud of you, how proud of this you are, Kate. And you know,
I suppose it's about delivery, isn't it? It's about what people feel on delivery. The 10-year plan for the NHS, few people have criticised as a principle. Nobody feels clear that it can be delivered. And I think maybe why the criticism is coming is even the things that have been put forward that have been dreadfully unpopular haven't been delivered either. Winter fuel payments, terribly unpopular, rowed back on. Welfare reform, hugely rowed back on, and concessions made that are perceived to be because of political reasons. That can't have been why you were so keen to be Home Secretary.
Sure. Look, I'm not going to pretend to you that everything goes right in government, and I was in the last Labour government before 2010 as well as in this one. So I know that government isn't always smooth. However, those real things that matter, which is the NHS, police on the streets and cost of living, on each of those 3 big areas, actually you're seeing big improvements. So the fact that waiting times have been coming down now month on month, we thought they were just going up forever. We thought the NHS was falling apart. And instead, with the investment and reforms taking place, you've got those waiting lists coming down and you've got those extra appointments. We promised 2 million extra appointments. Actually, we've delivered 4 million additional appointments. The neighbourhood police, I mean, our town centres, we've just not had neighbourhood policing, neighbourhood police patrols in our town centres for far too long. They've been decimated. Now we're putting them back. 3,000 more this year, and lots of towns are already seeing extra policing back on the beat. And then things like the wages going up and interest rates coming down, things like free school meals, that does matter. That does affect people's pockets. Yeah. So, you know, I think those things that people really feel, working people especially, who've just been ignored for too long, are seeing those things. But as Keir Starmer said, it doesn't happen at the flick of a switch.
Working people, as you say,
steady
Home
improvements
Secretary,
we need.
Working people, Home Secretary, are worried about crime in their neighbourhoods. Yes. Just to give you some statistics, because, you know, you care about statistics. You say your last job in government was Chief Secretary to the Treasury. 23% up year on year in shuffling, close to 500,000 offences in the last 12 months. Close to £340 spent by retailers themselves on crime prevention because they don't have police in the area. And get this, 84,000 mobile phones stolen in 12 months. Now, you say one of the remedies here is to put 3,000 police officers in the street. But Keir Starmer said you're going to need at least 13,000 new police officers. Now, when are they going to come? There's a big difference between 3,000 and 13,000.
Yes, our manifesto said 13,000 more neighbourhood police officers and PCSOs on the beat over the course of this Parliament. We've got 3,000 coming onto the streets this year, so the first year. So that is as part of the step-by-step neighbourhood policing guarantee. Bear in mind, this is against a backdrop where those police have been taken off our streets for years. We're bringing in stronger powers, but those powers are going through Parliament at the moment to tackle things like shoplifting, to also off-road bikes, some of those real nightmare antisocial behaviour issues that we face. But we've asked police forces...
Prison places, I mean, your prisons are full, you can't get a prosecution, many people at home, you'll know this, phone the police don't show up, there's underfunding throughout the system, not just calling the police, but making sure that somebody can be brought to court. The whole system, you would agree, presumably, is entirely underfunded. Do you look at Good Morning Britain viewers and the nation and say, right, we're going to put our money where our mouths are and properly fund the police? Because the reality is that the heads of the police simply don't have the confidence you will. And frankly, given the fact that you're now at a situation where only 23% of the country support you, neither do the public at home.
Well, Rob, you're right that we inherited a criminal justice system that was incredibly damaged, a prison system in complete crisis. But that's why we're taking the practical steps. I think the most important foundational thing of all in policing is to get neighbourhood police back on the streets. They know communities, they can get that intelligence, they can prevent crime and they can go after those local offenders. So the Safer Streets initiative we're setting out this summer, I've asked police forces across the country to make town centre crime the top priority with these new neighbourhood police that they're rolling out, and to draw up plans for safer streets and safer town centres this summer. Over 500 towns and high streets have signed up to do that. They've drawn up their local plans with additional police patrols, using some stronger enforcement and stronger prevention as well. But that's the action I want to see.
In terms of local police, a lot of it is about local resources, how much money there is. Everybody knows that money doesn't grow on trees. And one of the concerns of the public is a lot of those resources are drained as a result of communities being affected by the amount of illegal immigration. Now, as you rightly said, you referred to your last job in government. Help me, if you can, Home Secretary, how many illegal immigrants are there in the UK at the moment?
So we've got, obviously, the increase in the illegal migration has been taking place over a long period of time. I think what you're referring to is a report from the Public Accounts Committee that said over the last 5 years there was not a proper system for actually measuring whether people were leaving the country or not.
Yes, it was in 2020. Yeah. This is the new information that's emerged today to say that all governments, including before this time last year, have failed to gather basic information as when people's visas expire, visas brought in 2020 to help post-Brexit, when they've expired, they don't know if they've expired or where they are. So you can't say how many people are here illegally, can you?
So, again, I think this is another part of the broken immigration system we inherited. There was a huge increase. The net migration quadrupled in the space of 4 years. We're bringing that right down now. So overall migration is now substantially falling, and we brought in stronger controls as well.
Sorry to interrupt you, Home Secretary. You have to understand that people are thinking, you've inherited this system, but if you don't know how many people are here, how can you begin to tackle it? I mean, what can you do now you're in power to change that?
Yeah. We set out a new system in our white paper that we published a few months ago that's bringing in a new digital system that will properly check the visas, bringing e-visas, digital visas, which we're already rolling out this year, much stronger digital checks at the border so that we can properly count people in and out of the country.
What about those who are here? What about those who are here?
I mean, the point is you don't have a clue where any of these...
I can explain that as well.
You don't have a clue where any... Just so our viewers understand what the Public Accounts Committee says, right? And that's a cross-party committee. You don't have a clue where any of these people are. Small boats arriving, 48% up year on year. This is not an inherited problem. This is you in power. If you don't know where the illegal immigrants are, how do we trust any of the numbers? How do we trust your resourcing? How do we trust you can solve the problem?
Yeah. So, Rob, that report looks back at the last 5 years and was done before the immigration white paper set out our new approach. So we're increasing illegal working raids by 50% since the election. Those raids have gone up. Arrests for illegal working have also gone up by 50%. We're introducing this new digital visa system and biometrics checks that our immigration enforcement can do, so they can go and check immediately people's fingerprints and find out, are they lawfully in the country, do they have the right to work, or if not, should they be arrested and should immigration enforcement action be taken? So those new digital systems are the systems that we announced as part of our white paper because we think this needs to change. So I agree with the committee report. We've had a broken system here. It needs to change. You've got to have proper controls. I think in this country, people want to know that the immigration system is properly, fairly controlled and managed. It hasn't been for too long. It has been chaotic. The Prime Minister's right. Change is not like flicking a switch. It does take time to bring new systems in. I am not going to pretend to you that there's not a huge amount more work to do. There really is. There's a whole series of areas where we have substantial problems, long-term, deep problems in this country. But what we can do is get on with changing them, get on with doing the right things for working people across the country who've been let down for too long.
Home Secretary, we hear what you say a year in. I guess we watch and see what impact that has, right? Thank you very much.
Good to speak to you this morning. Good to speak to you.